Hello, I'm Kevin Davis, and this time I want to talk a little bit about gods. They've recently discovered what they call a God gene, but I really think this is just science has discovered that human beings have a disposition to hope. Hope for better things, because most of them on this earth actually live pretty dismal lives. And I like to think that human beings naturally have some hope for a better future. To start off my talk, I want to ask you to think of these two different scenarios. In the first scenario, we have God saying that we will create man in his own image. And in actual fact, I might just point out here that in Genesis it actually says that let us create man in God's own image. Us? Who is he talking about? Who did Genesis talk about? Before God there was only one God. And yet here in Genesis he's saying, let us. And he's not only did it once, that the phrase occurs again in Genesis and also later on in Isaiah. But putting that to one side for the moment, let us assume that God creates mankind in his own image throughout the world, and that everybody should have the same liturgy, the same everything, so that they're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Think of scenario 2 now, and this is where mankind creates God in its own image, according to local customs and very often different cultures. So that we see lots of different ideas about religion. Now, which of those two scenarios do you think actually exists in this earth? And I suggest to you that it must be two. I mean, let's face it, I mean, the Christians don't know whether to believe in Anglicanism and Catholicism. The Islamic people do not know whether to follow the Shia or the Sunni practice. In fact, they seem to me to be all over the place. Nonetheless, the church people, with their flowery narrative, will tell you that the scriptures have to be right. And an example, I saw the other day, a local lay preacher wrote in our newspaper that because it's Christmas, at this time, God, who loved people so much, he sent down his one and only Son to save us. And we all know with what results that was. There's fighting across the world, from the Southeast Asia right through the Middle East, widespread murder and mayhem of mostly women and children, I would think. So if that wasn't good, sending his one and only Son down to save us, did. In fact, recently I've noticed that the Archbishop of Canterbury has actually said that there's been occasions when he doubts there is a God. And Pope Francis, and we're talking in 2016 here, said that it could be that Christians will have to change the way they consider or conceive of God. Personally, I think that there's a move on here. I think that by the year 2025, we might see some changes. This would be the 1,700th year anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, where in actual fact the divination of Jesus was finally established, or not, depending on which religion you came from. I like to think that they might just consider that God no longer exists, and that we should be looking to mankind, to men and women that have done wonderful things on earth. I think the Lutheran theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer had it right in 1945. He was about to be executed by the Germans for his stand against Nazism. And he said, I think it's time for mankind to learn to do without God. So what will it look like? Well, Einstein said that science without religion was lame, and religion without science was blind. And I like to think that really he was considering that we should be combining the two of them, really. Science, as we know, sticks to empiricism, whereas religion has a little bit more of what I might call the spiritual side of things. And I think this is absolutely correct. There should only really be one rule governing everyone, and this is the golden rule. The churches should come together under this banner that do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself. And what, if there's no God, what are the rule for the churches? What should the churches do? Well, I think they have a very good rule. They should consider themselves like hospitals cure the bodily ills. I think that the churches should open their doors to everybody and start curing people's spiritual problems.